President Ronald Reagan, truly one of our great presidents. It was an honor to work for him for 8 years. And I went back and I looked. It's amazing how time goes by, but some things just never change. And one of those things is terrorism. Terrorism. Think about it. It's 47 years ago when the Islamo-Nazi regime took over Iran, thanks to Jimmy Carter. Thanks to Jimmy Carter. And by the way, that's where isolationism, that's where lack of clarity, timidity come in, and that's what the enemy does, right? And so here we have Iran become an entire terrorist country, and Reagan had to deal with it the minute he came in. They had our hostages. Some of us are old enough to remember ABC News, Ted Koppel, and he would say day one, day two, it was into the 400s. And we really did look like a paper tiger, and the terrorists saw us and so forth. And then guess who gets elected? Ronald Reagan. Guess what the terrorist regime does? As he's being sworn in at his inauguration, they release the hostages. Because they knew he would blow them off the face of the earth. Warmonger. They released the hostages. But ever since then, they've undertaken horrendous attacks on us, on the Israelis, on Europe, on the West, and on their own people. Those death camps in Iran are not filled with Christians and Jews and Hindus and Buddhists. They're filled with Muslims. Muslims. These Islamists kill more Muslims than anybody else does. It's what they do. Because of the ideology I discussed with you last night. Anything that gets into the way, God says they must perish. And so they slaughter them. So here's Ronald Reagan in an address to the ABA, which is a despicable left-wing legal association, which I resigned from after being a member for 6 months right after law school. But nonetheless, he gave a speech, which was fantastic. And we're not going to play the whole speech, 3.5 minutes of it, July 8th, 1985. Literally almost 40 years to the day. Go.
And all of these states are united by one simple criminal phenomenon: their fanatical hatred of the United States, our people, our way of life, our international stature. And the strategic purpose behind the terrorism sponsored by these outlaw states is clear: to disorient the United States, to disrupt or alter our foreign policy, to sow discord between ourselves and our allies, to frighten friendly third world nations working with us for peaceful settlements of regional conflicts, and finally to remove American influence from those areas of the world where we're working to bring stable and democratic government. In short, to cause us to retreat, retrench, to become Fortress America. Yes, their real goal is to expel America from the world. And that is the reason these terrorist nations are arming, training, and supporting attacks against this nation. And that is why we can be clear on one point: these terrorist states are now engaged in acts of war against the government and people of the United States. And under international law, any state which is the victim of acts of war has the right to defend itself. Now, for the benefit of these outlaw governments who are sponsoring international terrorism against our nation, I'm prepared to offer a brief lesson in American history. A number of times in America's past, foreign tyrants, warlords, and totalitarian dictators have misinterpreted the well-known likability, patience, and generosity of the American people as signs of weakness or even decadence. Well, it's true, we are an easygoing people, slow to wrath, hesitant to see danger looming over every horizon. But it's also true that when the emotions of the American people are aroused, when their patriotism and their anger are triggered, there are no limits to their national valor nor the consuming passion to protect this nation's cherished tradition of freedom. Teddy Roosevelt once put it this way: the American people are slow to wrath, But when their wrath is once kindled, it burns like a consuming flame. And it was another leader, this time a foreign adversary, Admiral Yamamoto, who warned his own nation after its attack on Pearl Harbor that he feared, quote, "We have only awakened a sleeping giant, and his reaction will be terrible." Yes, we Americans have our disagreements, sometimes noisy ones, almost always in public. That's the nature of our open society. But no foreign power should mistake disagreement for disunity. Those who are tempted to do so should reflect on our national character and our history, a history littered with the wreckage of regimes who made the mistake of underestimating the vigor and will of the American people. So let me today speak for a united people. Let me say simply, we're Americans. We love this country. We love what she stands for, and we will always defend her.
For all this and much more, sign up for LevinTV.